All right, guys, India calls Trump's bluff on oil. Let's unpack this and dive in. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on the baseline. Today, I want you to picture this. You walk into a Walmart, grab a pack of Oreos, and boom, they cost $10. Not because Oreos suddenly became bougie, but because your government just slapped a tariff wall higher than your neighbor's HOA fence. Now, Trump swears other countries are paying that tax, but here's a reality check. It's you, it's me, it's us, and the guy in aisle 3 with the family-sized Doritos footing the bill. So let me ask you guys this. If America is paying America to punish America, who exactly is winning this trade war? So here's the kicker to it all too, right? Because this isn't some niche Wall Street drama type of thing. No, this is the kind of policy that decides how much your groceries cost in Ohio, how high mortgage rates feel in London, and whether your next iPhone ships from China, Vietnam, or surprise, still China, but through Vietnam with a fake passport. So let's set this up, okay? And here's what we're going to try to unpack today. Firstly, we're going to try to unpack who's actually paying for Trump's tariffs. And spoiler alert, guys, it's not Modi, it's not India, it's not Xi Jinping, and it's not China. We're also going to talk about why America's allies are suddenly acting like that one friend who stops answering your texts, and why India is looking at Trump's tariffs threats and basically saying, hey, do your worst. But first, let me show you how wild this really gets. Okay, so Amazon, yes, Amazon almost spilled the tea. They had this plan to show you the tariff tax right on the product's page. Imagine clicking add to cart and then it's like, surprise, here's a $300 Trump tariff surcharge. Now, the White House, Trump, they freaked out. They call it hostile. Trump allegedly phoned Bezos personally, like a jealous ex-girlfriend, and the whole thing just vanished. And Jeff Bezos was like, you know what, guys? You know, you don't want me telling the shoppers the truth? All right, fine. I'll go back to building rockets. And so here's where we got to kind of break things down, right? So who does actually pay? Because Trump loves the line, China's paying for the tariffs, or India's paying for the tariffs. And Goldman Sachs says, nope, about 2/3 of those costs now land on American consumers. And that share is climbing. At first, U.S. companies tried to eat the cost, but now they're passing it along, item by item. It's like a restaurant that says free breadsticks until you notice your spaghetti cost 40 or 50 bucks. And that viral number, like 5,200 per United States household, that's not Wall Street spin. That's a Center for American Progress. That's what their estimate of what families might bleed out annually if these tariffs stick. Now, here comes another part, which is inflation's back in the room, right? Because prices were cooling, but slap tariffs this high, effective rates pushing 20%, the steepest in a decade, and suddenly your cheap imports aren't cheap. Producer prices ticked back up in July, and every economist in DC is whispering, uh-oh, tariff shock. It's real and it's coming. Now, this is where allies start to rebel, and this is where it gets cinematic. Trump tried to flex tariffs as foreign policy, and allies, they clapped back. Spain, they said, oh, you're taxing us? Cool. We're going to cancel the F-35 fighter jet order. Adios, Lockheed. Switzerland, U.S. slapped them with a 39% tariff. And they said, fine, we're fine freezing U.S. jet deliveries. Imagine telling the Swiss their chocolate is overpriced. Now imagine telling them their jets are too. So now we go to Canada, right? And they say, thanks for the 25% steel tariffs, but here's our counterpunch. And Japan and the EU, they're basically negotiating hostage deals. Both settled at 15% tariffs, not because they love it, but because the alternative was worse. And it's like paying ransom just so the kidnappers don't double it tomorrow. But knowing Trump, you never know, right? And then comes this China illusion and the irony of it all, right? All this was supposed to reduce U.S. dependency on China. And yes, imports from Beijing are down, but the stuff we're buying from Vietnam and Thailand, well, surprise, it still has Chinese parts. It's like trying to quit sugar by switching to diet soda. Technically different, but still rotting your teeth, and aspartame's worse, actually. So Trump just extended a 90-day tariff truce with Beijing again. So much for decoupling, right? It's de-risking at best, rerouting at worst. And here comes India, the big showdown. So let's talk about India. Trump slapped 50% tariffs on India officially because of Russian oil. But here's the twist. India didn't blink. They doubled down, still buying Russian oil, still cozying with Europe, even warming up to China while keeping defense ties with Washington alive. Now, what's the translation here? Trump tried to call Delhi's bluff, and India is basically saying, we've got options too. Russia's on speed dial, Brussels is texting us, and your exports are already pivoting. So this isn't isolation, it's multi-alignment. And it makes Washington look less like the boss and more like the guy yelling outside the club after being denied entry. It's crazy. So let's zoom out for a moment, take a breath, and see this, okay? Trump sold tariffs as a strength. The reality, American households are paying the tab. Allies are canceling fighter jets, and China's still inside the system. So they're just wearing Vietnam's jacket. Now, that's not a strategy. That's economic cosplay. And here's the kicker to all of this, right? All of this might just be an opening act, because while Trump's tariffs dominate the headlines, NATO is quietly cooking up its own economic arsenal. And that, my friends, could flip the script on this whole trade war. So buckle up. If you think tariffs are the tax you didn't vote for, wait until you hear what Europe's planning next. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the baseline. I really appreciate you guys watching. Put some comments in the section below. Let me know what you guys think of all this. Do I have it right? Do I have it wrong? I would love to know your opinion. I read all the comments. Thank you again so much for joining me on the baseline, and we'll catch you on the next round. All right. Cheers, everybody.